Hello. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Ah, wonderful. Sorry, we had technical difficulty. And Kelly came directly over here to help. It's so nice to have a physical person rather than a screen. Hello, everyone. Let me see. Let me do one screen roll. See a lot of happy faces, some familiar faces. Oh, there's a lot of you on here. Can everyone hear okay? Just checking the audio here. All right, wonderful. Well, thank you for your patience and for waiting. I think I'm assigned to share something. I think this gathering, this online gathering, is just for us to connect together and just see each other. So I think mainly it's not for you to just listen to me talk like for a while, but like for you hopefully to break up into groups and hear each other share. So to support each other. I imagine most of you are in some kind of a teaching role. Is that correct? Yeah. So wonderful. And I think that's why I think our teacher and many monastics, monks and nuns, we also appreciate connecting with teachers because we have the same kind of role and we're put in a position to, to share to people all the time. Can you imagine that, monks and nuns before in India, 2,500 years ago, we left society, we went and we lived in the forest. And because we had to eat, we had to go to the villages to beg for our food. And in exchange, we just share something after we eat the food. So this is the origin of why there's a relationship between monastics and society. We depend on each other. And so it's not, and I love thinking like that, that actually our origin, the monastic, is that we left the conventional like family, worldly society kind of thing, but to look for something much more meaningful in about life, about living, about being human being. And I think that's pretty valuable for people. So this is to share with you a little bit of how I relate to our lives and our role as monastic. And thank you, first of all, for being teachers. It's a tough thing to do to handle. I don't know how many you handle adults, but especially for those who handle young people, children, and so on. It's a very hard profession or a hard role because it's not very valuable now in our modern society. The teacher's role, which is like really strange. Actually, teachers and healthcare profession, nurses and doctors should be the highest paid, and not the lawyers. Like teachers, they influence your kids. Jeez, they have your kids for like 6 hours every day, 5 days a week, right? And healthcare profession, because you have no choice. When you get sick, you are under their care. So whether they are tender with you or not, whether they are tender and kind to your kids, you have no choice. So I've thought of a lot about this. It's like, why is our society so upside down? So this is but not all cultures. I think there's some countries like Finland, the Scandinavian countries that have, and Holland as well. Vietnam still, but starting to change. The profession of teachers is highly respected, and teachers are very valued by the parents and so on. So this is something we have to look at in general. But yeah, I wanted to start off just a little bit to let's say honor our teacher a little bit. So I'm gonna. I hope I can share screen. Let me. Please hang on with me for a second. As I try to figure this out. Can you hear me still? Okay. Can you see that screen? Oh, wonderful. I just want to show you our teacher, just to honor our teacher. There's the black and white picture of him when he was teaching in Vietnam. And then there's a picture of Thay with the kids and a corn teaching to the kids. I don't know how to make this thing stop, but here it is. And there's a picture of him in the early days of Plum Village, teaching in the young refugee kids, children of refugee families that came to Plum Village. You see that? Teaching them Vietnamese and the beautiful things about the Vietnamese culture. I hope everyone can see that. You see, in the early days, Thay was handling children's program. He didn't have time to shave his head even, I can see. And this is in Vietnam. This is during wartime. Huh? Thay is in the classroom. You see the hut? Oh, wait, how do I turn that back? Can you see the black and white picture? You see the hut? Yeah, you see the hut with the leaves from the palm trees. I love this picture. Yeah. And Thay is teaching, again, children in the villages. So those are some images of to honor our teacher, how his whole life was dedicated to to share his not only his knowledge but his love, and to see what was needed. There was an image there recently, a young woman who worked with Thay when she was young in Vietnam shared with me at one of our gatherings to honor our teacher. She said Thay in the early days, she helped Thay before they even formed the first center, youth school of youth for social service. And she said Thay would in his bed area, there's a bed, and so he would use his bed platform as a table for the kids to sit around and write and take notes while he's like teaching them. So you can see even in his private room, he was teaching. And I think this is something, I just feel very grateful that my life, I've had many good teachers. Of course, my parents who raised me, always in debt to them. And then there are my school teachers, my, going through school, and they taught me things about knowledge and skills so I can, I guess, be useful and find ways to help and to find how I can contribute to society. I guess you would say to be a citizen, right? But there's in the spiritual tradition, there's a teacher. It's called a spiritual teacher, one who teaches you how to look at the world, how to understand the world, how to love. Like a spiritual teacher teaches you how to have insight so that you can liberate yourself from your suffering. Sometimes our parents try to do that, but most of the time they cause us some suffering too. So spiritual teachers, they make you suffer so that you can be free because you have many ideas. Do you see the relationship? So there's many kinds of teachers, and there are teachers who liberate you. And in Vietnamese, there's a word for it, ân sư. That is like your debt teacher, the one who actually helped you find your heart, your calling, your liberation. It's like God, and you feel very indebted to them every time you think of them. Of course, there are many teachers in your school, in our education, who also happen to be our spiritual teacher, in the sense that they helped us find our path, found our calling, found our love of art, of writing, of math, whatever that spirit is. The spiritual teacher in particular help you liberate yourself, so, and that liberation is very connected to you being happy and for you touching true love, like learning how to care for yourself. So for me, and that's why, we have many kinds of teachers in our tradition. And one of the prostration we do is to a teacher that help us liberate ourselves, our root teacher. And so for me, this is something very important for us to gauge, because our society is organized, and the way it's organized, we our education system help. I went through the education system, and there's not so much emphasis on that, how to find the value of each child, each person, so that they can be happy in the world. And this is very important for us as individuals to and of course we have to find that out for ourselves as well, and also find ways for us to nourish that. This is what our teacher Thay has helped us too. It's not just an idea, but he also gave us many tools to take care of ourselves, so that we can nourish ourselves, love ourselves, and to allow our insight, our understanding, our freedom, our happiness to grow. So this is basically, if you're interested in education and our community, this is what it's all about. We're learning and teaching people ways so they can help themselves thrive. But also the other tool is to help themselves take care of their suffering, because that's part of the pain and suffering, is part of growing up life, and the world is not always flowing with you. So these are the two things that what we can, how do you call it, the spiritual, the Buddhist, or the wake up schools have been emphasizing on, teaching people the tools so that they know how to generate joy, happiness. This is all very based on the path of a meditator, of a wanderer who left society. And, back in the forest, remember the first image I gave you, the beggar? And what they were looking for is a way so that they can be whole as a human being. And the other is learn how to take care of their pain and their suffering and the challenges that confront them. So these are the two things that we need to pay attention to as we have students and people who are coming to us. So in a way, teachers sometimes have to act as therapists. Most of the time, you probably do have to act as the therapist or the second parent, right? Sometimes I have to do that role. I have to consult many people, and sometimes That's what people need, to be listened to, and then to share our experience. So this is a kind of a connection to us. One thing I learned from our teacher that really inspired me in terms of education, during a Science of the Buddha, Science and Buddhism retreat, a 6-day retreat we had. And Thay, I think on his first talk, he shared that, as humans, we have 2 basic needs. And I was like, whoa, really? That's it, huh? Just 2. He was like, I was, okay, here's the formula, right? And it's very simple. It's like we all have the need to understand. Or actually, he said we have 2 basic needs that connect us as meditators and as scientists. Isn't that beautiful? I was like, as you can imagine listening, you're like, wow, okay, what is it, Thay? And Thay shared that the thing that ties us is that we both want to understand. Like meditators, spiritual travelers, they want to understand themselves, understand the nature of the world, why we cause suffering, why there is suffering, why there's beauty, why there's miracle, there's magic, and how to nourish that. So to understand how things work within ourselves and others. I mean, isn't that amazing how Thay, and then you can see all the scientists in the room, everyone, including, all the monks and nuns, we were like, yeah, I can relate to that. And scientists, that's what it is. You're not, you're trying to figure out how things work, whether that's in the depths of the cosmos, or whether that's in the deep, intricate layers of a photon, right? Or a nucleus, or an organ, or an animal, or, you're trying to figure out the system of how things work. And I love that. I love that. That never left me. And I continue to be a scientist in that sense. And the other aspect is we all want to love and to be loved. And that right there was like, wow. For me, that's the human element. We're not just professionals, or like, researchers, or teachers, but we're also a child, a daughter, a son, a partner of someone. And so there's always love involved. And I think this is one aspect that Thay brought to the scientists that was kind of like a little scary. Because as you know, we get entrenched in our research and in our wanting to understand, and then we hurt our loved ones, or because we don't know how to love. And this is what's beautiful about that connection. The more you understand something, the more you value, cherish, and kind of protect it. And so this is the link of why we actually, as teachers, need to really understand ourselves, so that we can love ourselves. And so that in the work that we do, whether we're a math teacher, a yoga teacher, whatever we're teaching, the base of it is our understanding of ourselves, the insight that we have ourselves, of why we behave like we do, why we keep sabotaging ourselves, why we judge ourselves. All these human aspects is related to how we love ourselves. And the more we don't understand that, the more we are a victim to our own thoughts, thinking, notions about ourselves. So that, and then this is a beautiful thing that you can transmit to a young person, that they are enough, that they are okay, that they are, besides the profession, the field that they're interested in, or whatever they want to explore, for them to, and this is the secret, I think, that's why monastics and a lot of us are so passionate about this realm because we need more people like this. Because I think the world that is in the situation that we have now is we are run by leaders who actually don't see this, and they don't have this compassion, this sympathy, this empathy to feel, or they do, but because the system, they have to put up and be in control and to be how do you the pride, these things all come in. And so a lot of the difficulty now, the last couple of days I've been praying for all our leaders over there in Russia, in Europe. Guys, why would we do that to other human beings? Whether one nation is there's some difficulty, but who gets the violence and the destruction? It's just the common people. So it's run by people who've been educated by a certain way. So this is why I think as teachers, we have this role to play to help children, to help our students, to help whoever is listening to us, to have this sense of softness. And that comes from actually learning and understanding our own suffering that we've received from our upbringing, from our parents, and then later on from ourselves. So I think this is fundamental why actually meditation and learning to stop and to take care of ourselves, to be silent, to take these refuges. And you'll learn more as you continue this path with us. So this is something very, hold on a second. How do you turn off the chat? People are chatting. I'm sorry, I'm not very good with this medium. So this is what we are up with. How do you say? We are faced with a society that, I was with taking care of my father one time a few months ago, and I walked in the beach in the evening to look at the sunset. I don't know if I've shared this with you, but something just really struck me and inspired me to continue to do what I do. I passed by many families, many children, and it was all very good. And I got to a certain area of the beach that was like restricted. And, I didn't know if it was allowed, it was public, but I continued to walk. And there were all these other kids that were, they had sweatsuit on. But I noticed the change in kids and the way they look at me. And it was, like at first there were a group of kids that like say hi and interacted with me. And it was just like, it was so joyful to be with. They were just happy to be in the ocean, and there's beach and there's a sun and there's sand and you get to be dirty. And I played with that. And then there are all these other kids who are actually, and they were young too, but the way they looked at me was that I was strange. I know I had my robe on. I was bald, the energy I got was a kind of fear, judgment, and didn't respond to me. I mean, it was no success. And I felt really, I felt hurt, actually. I felt pain that as children, somehow through education, through our upbringing, I don't know where they got it from, the media, but somehow children lost that sense of childishness, of openness, of just being at the beach and not, there was a difference very clearly. And I'll never forget that. And that's why I am so committed So I don't know, we need to really start at a very young level to teach young people tolerance and difference and learning to value all of humanity, no matter who or what they call themselves or what they look like. And this for me is kind of like in the back burner of my whole, yeah, it's become one of the main, pieces that keep the fire burning in my heart and motivates me to help better the world on the level of young people. So every time I see children come to the monastery now, Deer Park, I interact with them. I want to get them to be familiar with different things or odd things, and to actually find strangeness, to be uncomfortable. I love getting kids to take off their shoes and feel it's okay to walk barefoot because their parents don't want their feet dirty, and it's like their fear of cleanliness is a kind of I try to like push their envelope, and many of them are afraid to walk barefoot. But as you can see during the week, as they learn to be okay with being barefoot and learn to be okay to like get rubbed by a bush, I take them on hikes and they're afraid of nature. When a bush hits them on the side, they go, ouch. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I have to rewind. And before we go on the hike, I gather all of them and we practice hugging a bush and feeling the little poke of a bush and feel it's beautiful. It's just nice feeling, no? So I teach them to be uncomfortable, actually to be comfortable with strange things like being poked by a bush. And you see these young boys, they come up and they hit bushes, but after I teach them how to hug a bush, then they relate to the bush very differently. Then we go on a hike because the hike is much more enjoyable if you're if you're not constantly, being disrupted by ouch, dirty, and so in a way, I think our culture, I'm sorry if this goes against your class protocol, okay? I know cleanliness is all good and tidiness and everything, but the world doesn't work like that, So we have to be very careful that we teach children that everything is under control and it should be under your control, and everyone will fit your mold. And this is the reason why there's clash of nations and cultures, because people don't fit our notions. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting into controversial stuff. So this is actually the teacher, the spiritual teacher is supposed to do that. Okay. The societal conventional teacher teaches you how to make a living and be okay with your parents, that they feel comfortable, you're secure, oh, you have a career path, okay, now I've done my job, my children's great. And there's that teacher, yes, he should do all the practical thing, but a spiritual teacher doesn't care about that. A spiritual teacher will push you so that you will not just be satisfied with the comfort and the security that is false. Because in the end, when you get 80, 90 years old, those securities no longer matter. And what is left? Understanding and love. And I have this direct experience with my father, who recently passed away. I was able to hold his hand and to tell him I love him. I helped him calm down with his breathing, and he accept that phase, and he went to sleep very peacefully. The nurse we couldn't believe. It's like, what happened? And so this is the way to go. And ultimately, a spiritual teacher will help us so that when we near our cycle of turning and return to the earth, that we have done our best, and that we feel that is the best thing we have done, could have done as a human being, given the conditions, the family, the culture that I was raised in. You see the role of a spiritual teacher? Now that is for me is highest level of teaching. If you can teach, I don't know if you can get that into young people, but I have met some that who are not just concerned about money and positions and status and so on, but they know. Then they come up here. They've returned as a 20-something-year-old, and they, I raised them when they were young and through their teenage years, and they give me hugs, and they just so happy to see me. And so I know they know what is valuable, the human relationship. And one other thing I wanted to share that's very pertinent now is communication, learning, learning to communicate, and that is a skill that we can learn, and we can teach. And so the practice of, and you can demonstrate this in your classroom. If you can learn how to master this, is something that we would love to be transmitted more, for people to not react. So as a teacher, someone is rowdy in the class or something triggers something. Can you imagine you don't reply right away? You just kind of follow your breathing as a teacher, and your whole classroom is like, well, what happened? Mr. Dunlap did not react. What is going on with him? And so there's that sense of stillness in our communication. And this is huge for our times now, because we are so bombarded with information, media, and ways of communication that is overwhelming our mind. And I feel that myself personally. So this is something, and it diminishes our ability to speak and to listen, because we are so triggered by news media that our brain is quite saturated with many information and emotions and thoughts. And so it actually hampers our ability to communicate. And this is a huge how do you call it, human section that is being really affecting our how do you call it, our human, the quality of us being humans with each other. And you see this in front of you when you go to restaurants, you go to things like people no longer know how to be with each other without the gadgets, without being interrupted, without being. So in other words, the presence, the quality of our presence as we communicate, because we are so our modern culture demands so much of us to take care of so many relationship emails, and we just have more relationship to take care of than we're meant to. Can you hear me now?
You're quite quiet.
So dear friends, can you hear me? Okay, I think Thay Dung, I'm not sure what happened. There's some sound issue, so we'll just give a moment to come back to our breathing. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. In, out. Breathing in, I follow with all my mindfulness, my whole heart, the whole length of my in-breath. The air coming in through my nostrils and mouth, my lungs filling, my belly rising. Breathing out, I'm aware of the whole length of my out-breath. I'm concentrated on my out-breath, following the in-breath, following the out-breath. Breathing in, I'm aware of my whole body, whether I'm sitting, standing, maybe on a cushion, on a seat, I'm sitting down. However my back is, my shoulders, my head. Breathing out, I smile to my body. In, aware of my body. Out, smiling.
Hello? Can you hear? Oh, you can. Great. I'm sorry about that. There's something about the Bluetooth stuff. Anyway, we will. Yeah, I think I think in our generation, in the next generation coming up with these all this online things and the screens and stuff, it's going to really affect our education. Well, it is affecting our education, especially in the last year, right? Or many teachers had to go online, and my niece, I was near my home, so I was able to interact with my niece, and I went to class with her online. She had some classes, and I went with her just to help her because it was early. It was 9 o'clock for her, was early. So I made orange juice. We had breakfast, and I was okay for her to eat breakfast while she was in the class, but I had my breakfast already. But I watched her attend the class, and she had like other things that she was doing, and I look at her and it's like, shouldn't you be listening to him? It's like, yeah. But it was normal for her to actually be doing a lot of things. And I guess now it's a little bit more obvious, but I guess when children and students were in the class, I think we were like that too. But it was kind of obvious because you'll be in the class in the back room and sitting in a particular way, and the teacher will know whether you're really there or not. So this is really, again, back to presence and our communication. Because what is it training? It's training that it's okay for when someone is speaking to you that you can be doing other things. You see the society in our culture. So as teachers, if somehow we can emphasize this kind of communication, okay, all right, I am here, I'm going to listen to you, please, or to honor people, to honor students, to honor whoever is speaking, that, everyone is listening. And this is something I see in the monastery, I really emphasize. And we are very lucky because people are coming, they want to be trained like that, to learn how to speak and learn how to listen. And we have to teach them how to do that. And parents and their children, when we have family retreats, we teach parents to actually have to listen to their child when their child is speaking. And many times I've had to ask the mother or the father, like, please do not interrupt your child. And she gets so like thrown off. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you're at a monastery and you're here as a practitioner. You're not just a mother. Oh my God. And the child, I don't make embarrass the mother, but it's amazing. The child feels respected. And all of a sudden the relationship is very different. So again, like I was sharing, the communication, because we are in a role or we're in a position or we have this habit. Oh, I've listened to you, honey. Okay. So even our in relationship, our partner and so on, we are losing this quality of being human. And so as a spiritual teacher, as a teacher of, we have to revive this ability of humans. And I think we all know when we are really being listened to and heard, and they're really there. You see the rare or the the precious commodity that will be highly valued in the 21st century is our presence. And this is going to be huge if we can create an army of students, of teachers who actually have presence, who are actually going out there in the world and really offering full attention to people and to their family, to your relatives, to your employee, to your workers, your colleagues. So this is besides education, and this will be valuable in any field. So I just want to share with Wake Up Schools, with education in the Plum Village and our teacher. We want to emphasize presence. And this is what meditation, mindfulness helps us as teachers, as human beings, how to take care of ourselves, through the different techniques that you will learn. And that this is something that you can develop. So besides knowledge, we also learn how to cultivate energy, the energy of awareness, the energy of presence. And this is the most beautiful thing, when you actually can just be present for yourself and not have to be someone else or be somebody for someone else, that you're happy as a human being, as a happy teacher, as a happy student, happy partner. And it comes from the space that you're okay with yourself, that you don't need more. And so this is something we, as a message for to transmit to teachers, is our I think our role. And this is what we want to share with teachers who come across our path. That yeah, of course, we do the conventional thing, have students learn the knowledge, the skills that they need, but also show them that we hear them, we understand them, and we love them. And I think that's what I remember from my teachers who from high school, from junior high, from college, that touched me very much, is that they able to understand me, and they heard me, they respected me, and they love me, in the sense that they care for me, that I am truthful to myself, that I'm not cheating, that I'm not I am speaking, like I'm speaking of a project here, when I'm kind of like making things up, they call me out, they challenge me, and they say, no. And I, at that time, you don't really like those teachers, but in reflection, they are the best teachers, because they called you out, but they did it with such much care that I remember them. You see so it's not like giving the children and the young generation everything they want, but it's actually challenging them as well, but with that love, that no, this is, good for you, even though you don't like it. You like to take shortcuts. You like to not read the book and try to cheat. But, I remember my English teacher, I prostrate to her now, because she always called me out. But she did it with a lot of love, and every time now I look at a sentence, I think of her, because she didn't allow me to take shortcuts. And as a teenager, you get really annoyed with her. So at that time, I thought I hated her. But now, as I grew up, I really see that she really cared for me. And so for me, this is our task, is to touch other people's heart with our love, with our understanding. And that is the most valuable thing, no? As in any profession, if you work with colleagues who are calm, patient, and they're really with you and they care for you. And, now it's not just about the work, so this is something I wanted to emphasize. I just want to share here. I started at, what time did I start, by the way? I started at 4. Is that correct? Yeah. And how long is this session we have together? Do you know? Anyone? I don't have a schedule.
Yeah. Thay,
I imagine it's an hour.
yeah, it's an hour.
brother.
So
Hello, Richard. There's
Hi,
a good
hello,
favorite
Thay.
teacher of ours. I see you. Hello, my dear. So happy. Brother Richard is an inspiration to our community as a teacher, a real full-on conventional teacher, as well as a higher, upper, ultimate level teacher, helping young people touch love. And so happy to see you. And there's many of you who are on the path. And so please learn this way to take care of yourself, because it's tough work, because our society does not value that. And so we can get burnt out, and we can lose that energy. My brother taught for almost 15 years, but recently in the last 2 years, he decided to change profession. I was really unfortunate, because he was so much more patient than me. He was very kind, very tender, but he always wanted to teach in the inner city school. He had many chances to teach in private school, and he shared with me, it's like, that's where, they don't need that. It's actually the inner city school. But inner city school, you have classrooms with 30, 40 kids, and it's really rough family upbringing. So it's very challenging. So it's really unfortunate. And that's what happens to a lot of teachers. So we hope you find community, you find like-minded friends here, from all around the world who want to find ways to be sustainable, to be resilient in their profession. And as monastics, we also in the same light. If we're not careful, we're holding too many retreats, we're offering too much consultation, we're constantly organizing all kinds of things everywhere, and we lose it, even though we love it. But there's only so much energy you can have. And you feel disconnection and so on. So this is something we hope with this community, with the practice, that you'll learn how to take care of yourself, so that your understanding of where things come up for you, the suffering, the pain, the difficulties that keep coming up, that you have more understanding from that. And from that understanding, you learn how to love yourself more. And that basic ground right there will be the foundation, and for you to be resilient with the challenges of the daily task. So that's our hope, why we want to be supportive. And if worst case, if you get burnt out or whatever, just take a break, come to the monastery. Come to the spiritual center. It's a charging place, and we have unlimited solar power here. Nature. You see the mountain behind me? That's a stupa from our late abbot Thay. And last night, Joe Riley, myself, Brother Phap, we did a long hike up the waterfall, and we went and we saw the sunset. We saw the ocean of peace, and we stood in silence under the stars. We get charged by inhuman things. That's kind of a weird word, inhuman things, because the human things are so much drama in it, and we need to dehumanize. We unplug from the human realm and connect to Mother Earth, because we forget that source of power of the stars, the night sky, and so on. So please, wherever you are, whatever you do, find a different plug to plug your thing in, your spirit, your soul in, and not just the one on the wall and the screen. And that's what meditation is, to have time to sit and follow our breathing, is to plug into something much bigger than the human area, the human world, right? So I leave that with you to hopefully, this evening you come out and, plug in with the stars above you, or the moon, if you're there. It's waxing. So thank you for joining us. And thank you, Orla and Tinica, Richard, and all those organizers who helped make this opportunity possible. And I hope you find some new inspiration and to continue to be on the path for the next generation. So thank you so much for listening for a while, and I'm sorry for the kind of disruption. And I just want to take a moment to see everybody's face and their names, and to know that we are always sending you energy, all the teachers out there. And please take care of yourself, okay? Yeah, wow, lovely faces. And thank you, and enjoy the rest of the activities and gatherings. I say goodbye now.